There's a fascinating paradox in life. The older we get, the less we tend to speak, yet the more people are willing to listen. As years pass by, words become more than just tools to make a point. They transform into powerful reflections of character, experience, and wisdom. A truly wise elder doesn't demand attention with flashy speeches or loud opinions. Instead, they know the rare art of choosing when to speak and when to remain silent, preserving dignity and commanding respect without uttering a word. But have you ever paused to wonder, at this age, are your words losing their impact? Do you feel exhausted from constantly explaining yourself, keeping the peace, or wearing a mask just to avoid conflict? Have you unknowingly said things that make others take you less seriously? Aging is not just about growing older. It's about growing wiser, choosing calm clarity over chaotic noise, and speaking with intention. Sometimes, silence itself becomes the highest expression of grace. In today's journey, we'll uncover the 6 things that truly wise seniors never say, and why avoiding them will transform how others see you and how you see yourself. You may just discover that number 6 changes everything. Are you ready to step into this new chapter with wisdom, strength, and quiet power? Let's dive in. 1. I'm useless at this age. The silent trap that steals your worth. Have you ever caught yourself saying, I'm useless at this age? Maybe it slips out as a joke, wrapped in a half-hearted laugh, or quietly escapes in a moment of self-doubt. But here's the harsh truth. Those simple words slowly turn into a deadly trap, wrapping around your mind like a vine that chokes out your sense of purpose. Think about it. The moment you believe you're no longer valuable, the world is all too ready to agree. You stop trying new things, avoid challenges, and slowly fade into the background. It's not just a phrase. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, shaping how others treat you and how you see yourself. But what if I told you that your worth never fades? That no matter your age, your presence holds value beyond measure? Just ask Mr. Allen, a 75-year-old retired mechanic from Wisconsin. Alone in his modest house, he spent afternoons tinkering with old radios and guitars, convinced his best days were long gone. One summer evening, while strumming an old blues tune on his porch, a group of curious teenagers stopped to listen. One of them asked, "Hey, do you teach guitar?" Allen chuckled and replied, "Only if you don't mind learning from an old-timer." Little did he know, that simple answer would turn his porch into the neighborhood's favorite hangout. Twice a week, he gave free guitar lessons, but it was more than just music. It was about patience, focus, and the quiet power of sharing stories. "They think I'm teaching them guitar," he once said, "but really they're teaching me how to feel alive again." So next time you feel like saying, "I'm useless," remember this. Your age doesn't define your worth. Your choices do. You still have stories to share, skills to teach, and lives to touch. Your presence still matters. 2. Back in my day, we did things right. The unseen wall that pushes loved ones away. It's just a simple phrase, right? Back in my day, we did things right. A nostalgic nod to a time when life seemed simpler and values felt stronger. But here's the truth. Those words meant to share wisdom often build a wall instead. Imagine this. You proudly share your experiences, trying to pass down lessons you've learned the hard way. But to younger ears, it sounds like judgment, as if everything they're struggling to figure out just isn't good enough. The connection you wanted to strengthen suddenly weakens, and without realizing it, you've pushed them away. Take Mr. John, for instance, a retired engineer who took pride in hard work and discipline. His grandson Kyle was studying digital art in college, something John just couldn't wrap his head around. "In my day, we worked with our hands," he'd often say, shaking his head at Kyle's computer screens. Real jobs didn't involve sitting at a desk all day. Kyle never argued. He simply stopped talking about his dreams, his projects, his passion. And before long, John knew more about Kyle's childhood than his present life. The silence hurt more than he expected, a harsh reminder that his words had done more harm than good. This is called generation gap bias, the unconscious habit of judging today's world through the lens of the past. It comes from pride, from love, from wanting to protect. But when shared as criticism, it only builds walls, not bridges. Here's the secret. Curiosity, not comparison, is the key to connection. Instead of saying, "back in my day," try asking, "tell me more about your dreams." Be open, be interested, and let them know their world matters too. Because in the end, the goal isn't to prove your time was better. It's to make sure the time you have now is filled with meaningful conversations and lasting relationships. 3. I can't learn anything new anymore. The lie that steals your spark. Have you ever caught yourself saying, "I'm too old to learn that"? It sounds harmless, even humble, but underneath those words hides a quiet surrender. A belief that your days of growth are over. Here's the truth. Learning has nothing to do with age and everything to do with attitude. The moment you stop being curious, you don't just stop learning. You stop discovering parts of yourself that are still waiting to shine. Take Margaret, for example. 80 years old, never touched a smartphone in her life. When her granddaughter gave her one for her birthday, she smiled politely, then left it sitting on the table like a foreign object. "It's too complicated," she'd say. Until one afternoon, she noticed the sunlight hitting her kitchen counter just right. That would make a beautiful photo, she thought. With shaky fingers, she picked up the phone, opened the camera app, and took the shot. It wasn't perfect, but it sparked something. Soon, Margaret was watching online tutorials, joining a local senior photo club, and even starting an Instagram page. Her photos, full of warmth, texture, and quiet beauty, began inspiring others. What started as "I can't" turned into "Why didn't I start sooner?" Science calls it neuroplasticity, your brain's ability to keep growing, adapting, creating new pathways, even in your 80s and beyond. So next time you're tempted to say you can't learn something new, pause. Ask yourself, is it really true or just fear in disguise? Because as long as you're curious, you're still alive and still becoming. 4. I can live however I want. It doesn't matter anymore. The silent surrender that steals your dignity. Have you ever caught yourself saying, "It doesn't matter how I live now. I'm old, I've earned the right to do whatever I want"? It sounds bold, even liberating, but in reality, it's a quiet surrender. A way of giving up on yourself without even realizing it. When you stop caring about your well-being, it's not just your body that feels the impact, it's your spirit. You're not just letting go of routines, you're letting go of your own dignity, piece by piece. Meet Harold, 77 years old, once full of life, but after his wife passed away, he slowly let himself fade. Cooking became a chore, daily walks stopped, and he'd spend hours just staring out the window. One morning, struggling to get out of bed because his back had stiffened so badly, he caught a glimpse of himself in the mirror and thought, "This isn't who I want to be." That moment of brutal honesty sparked something deep inside. He didn't try to overhaul his entire life overnight. He just started small. Morning stretches, a short walk around the block, cooking a real breakfast instead of just grabbing whatever was easiest. Little by little, his energy returned. His mood lifted. He even joined a senior yoga class, not to chase youth, but to respect the life he still had. The secret is simple. Living well isn't about impressing anyone or pretending to be young. It's about honoring yourself, taking care of your body, mind, and spirit because they still matter, because you still matter. So the next time you're tempted to say, "I can live however I want," ask yourself, am I choosing freedom or am I giving up? Because living with intention is more than just surviving. It's choosing to thrive, no matter your age. 5. People don't really care. The lonely lie that keeps you silent. Have you ever whispered to yourself, "People don't really care"? It's a sentence that slips out almost casually, but beneath those words lies a deep, aching loneliness. It's a shield, a way to protect your heart from feeling forgotten or abandoned. But here's the cruel irony. That very shield becomes the reason why you feel lonelier and more isolated than ever. When you convince yourself that no one cares, you stop sharing your thoughts, your struggles, your joys. You retreat inward, convinced that your words don't matter, that your feelings are just a burden. But the truth is, people do care. They just don't know you need them. Take Mr. Tam, for example, 74 years old, living in a senior community in California. At every weekly gathering, he was the quiet one, smiling politely while others shared stories about family, dreams, and worries. He thought his silence went unnoticed, but deep down, he felt invisible, as if his words didn't count. Then one day, someone in the group asked him directly, "Mr. Tam, what's on your mind?" For a moment, he hesitated. But something in that simple question broke through his guarded heart, and he found himself talking, really talking, about the loneliness after losing his wife, about how his children only called when they needed something, about the long, empty nights. To his surprise, the room grew silent, not out of indifference, but out of respect. One by one, others began to reach out, sharing comforting words and stories of their own. On his way out, Mr. Tam quietly said, "I didn't think anyone would actually listen." Sometimes the hardest step is letting down the shield and speaking your truth. Opening up doesn't make you weak, it makes you human. When you dare to share, you give others the chance to show they care. You don't have to carry the weight alone. So, next time you feel like saying, "People don't really care," take a breath and ask yourself, have you given them the chance to? 6. I'm old. Whatever works is fine. The quiet habit that erases you. It sounds polite, harmless even. Whatever works is fine. A phrase said with a smile, a shrug, a gentle wave of the hand. But what if that small sentence is quietly erasing you, bit by bit? As we age, many of us get used to going along with what others want. We stop voicing preferences, stop making choices. Not because we don't care, but because we've convinced ourselves we shouldn't care. That it's easier to keep the peace, to stay in the background. But here's the danger. The more you say whatever, the more others stop asking what you want. Not because they don't care, but because you've taught them not to. Lan, 78, lives with her daughter and 2 grandkids in San Jose. Every mealtime, when asked what she'd like to eat, her reply was always the same. Anything's fine, as long as you're happy. One day, after a mild allergic reaction to a dish she didn't even like, the doctor gently said, "You need to speak up. Your body still matters." That moment shook her, not just because of the health scare, but because she realized she hadn't truly chosen anything for herself in years. Growing older doesn't mean disappearing. It's not about giving up your voice. It's about owning it with quiet confidence. You still have the right to say what you like, what you need, what brings you joy. So the next time you say whatever works, stop and ask yourself, what do I really want? Because your voice still matters, and you deserve to be heard. Aging isn't fading. It's the most powerful chapter of your life. There's a profound truth that many forget as they grow older. Aging is not about fading away. It's not the final stretch where life just passes by. It's the chapter where your wisdom becomes richer, your strength quieter but deeper, and your choices more intentional than ever. You've spent decades gathering experiences, learning lessons, and weathering storms. Yet somehow, as the years go by, you may feel the urge to shrink back, to say less, to believe that your voice doesn't matter anymore. But let me tell you something. That couldn't be further from the truth. You still matter. You still have choices. Let go of the quiet, limiting phrases that make you feel small. I'm useless at this age. Back in my day, we did things right. I can't learn anything new anymore. I can live however I want. It doesn't matter. People don't really care. I'm old. Whatever works is fine. These words are like shadows that steal your light, robbing you of the dignity you've earned and the power you still hold. Instead, choose to live with wisdom, grace, and quiet strength. Stand tall, not just because of your past, but because of who you still are. Vibrant, wise, and worthy of being heard. Your story isn't over. It's unfolding in ways you may not even realize yet. Each day is a chance to embrace your worth, share your voice, and live with intention. So let go of fading and step into the most beautiful chapter of your life, the one where you are unapologetically and powerfully you.